What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through tonight's 7-game slate in the association. One with Mike. You said not that much. You said maybe a quick show today. So, what are your expectations? How are you feeling on this Friday?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. We'll talk Lakers being embarrassed a little bit to fill some time. Maybe we get out of here before the injury report. We're still waiting on a few back-to-back teams to file. Then I'm sure we'll muddy this up. We'll talk about that, what's to come. But big return day for Chris Middleton, kind of at the top. So it should be a fun little show.
All right, let's get into it. Let's start with Orlando and Philadelphia. On the Orlando side, Paolo Banchero, Gary Harris still remain out. What are your notes on the Magic tonight?
Yeah, we just saw these teams face off on Wednesday. Paul George didn't play in that game. That was the second half of the back-to-back. He will be back. He did play pretty full a couple games ago and said he was pretty sore, so not surprising he sat out. So his return will almost certainly bump Jared McCain back to the bench. He was great. Had a really effective game. Has been kind of outplaying Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey's been really struggling. His catch-and-shoot efficiency's really dropped. His pick-and-roll handler efficiency's really dropped. As he just hasn't been the same caliber of player on the high end, which is not too surprising. We saw his efficiency dip last year when Embiid missed. So, yeah, again, like I said, Paul George will start. Obviously, Maxey and Oubre feel pretty good about them starting. And then there's a chance that Caleb Martin comes back into the starting lineup in place of KJ Martin. KJ Martin has been playing pretty well, but so unclear. We know they kind of like Caleb with Paul George. We saw that in the preseason when Paul George went down. They pulled Caleb out with him and put KJ in. So kind of coming along for the ride there. And then Andre Drummond, who was supposed to miss 3 games, is questionable, went through shoot around, and apparently didn't have a brace or anything. So it almost looks like Andre is going to be in, almost certainly going to be game time decision. I still think Gerson Yabusele is going to start, and then they'll probably cover the full 48. Adem Bona hurt his knee late in the game. He's out as well. Not a severe one, but Bona going to miss time there. And then, back into the rotation, we saw Kyle Lowry sit the back into the back-to-back. He was the last man in the rotation on the Tuesday game. As him and Ricky Council are kind of like the last guys in here. But, Paul George minutes should be pretty full. And then Maxey Oubre playing a ton. And then Yabusele should still get pretty close to 30 minutes of the lion's share of center minutes.
McCain started last game, played 39 minutes. Obviously, this was without Paul George, was not starting before with Paul George, but seems to be like very clearly their third best offensive player. Mm-hmm. What's your feeling on his likelihood of starting tonight against a difficult Orlando defense?
For who, sorry?
For Jared McCain.
McCain, pretty unlikely. Nick Nurse basically said they kind of like him in that bench role. So, I think they want to keep him in that role. Nick Nurse basically said so. So, feel pretty good he's coming off the bench. Like I said, I feel pretty confident it's Maxey Oubre, Yabusele, and then Paul George, forgot Paul George. And then it's between Caleb and KJ Martin. Martin's going to start. Just we don't know which one.
All right, let's go to the Orlando side of the Orlando side real quickly on this.
Yeah.
No Goga Bitadze listed on the injury report at all. Played 21 minutes, looked a little bit hobbled out there at times playing through that. What are your expectations and thoughts on Goga Bitadze's health? And we saw Wendell Carter Jr. extended up to 32 minutes in this one. Yeah. So what are your expectations there?
Yeah, Goga got hurt. Don't forget, 2 games ago, the big NBA Cup game against the Knicks, hurt himself in warm-ups, was kind of limping off, and we were surprised he was going to play. Got called a game-time decision. Was looking like okay early, and then he had this fall, and he was like face down in pain for a solid 90 seconds. Comes back, you see him kind of limping around out there. So clearly bothered there, not listed. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Think he starts. So it should be the same starting lineup with Jalen Suggs, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Goga, Wendell Carter Jr., and Franz Wagner. Should also note Jonathan Isaac hurt his knee in this game, not listed. Keep an eye on that. We know the Magic always file a little bit early. But not listed. And it was mostly downplayed after the game by Jamal Mosley. So, pretty much expecting that starting group. Isaac, Tristan Silva off the bench, Mo Wagner, and Anthony Black should be kind of their core rotation going forward. They did finally cut out Jet Howard and Cole Anthony as they ran a pretty straight 9-man here.
Yeah, and it seemed like they emphasized guard minutes a little bit more against the smaller Philadelphia unit. There was more Anthony Black in this game than a lot of the games previously. There had been more big minutes in the games previously against, obviously, Philadelphia's playing on the smaller end of things. We'll see if they get Drummond back tonight. But do you expect that to continue? Because, ultimately, we saw Wendell Carter Jr. basically take 4 or 5 minutes from Coco Batazzi that Coco Batazzi had before. Tristan Da Silva and Jonathan Isaac were kind of stuck in the teens, and Anthony Black raised up a bunch. Do you think that Drummond's availability impacts the back end of the rotation in terms of the minutes here for Orlando?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think they would want to play small. Jamal Mosley doesn't like to be smaller than the other team too often with the way they like to impact the glass and protect the paint. So, yeah, I think that's a good note that if Drummond's in, you could see them play a little bit bigger.
Okay, let's go to the Lakers in Atlanta. On the Lakers side, Anthony Davis probable left plantar fasciitis, LeBron James questionable left foot soreness, Austin Reeves out with the left pelvic contusion. They remain without Jackson Hayes, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Jared Vanderbilt, Christian Wood, and they've listed Bronny James as questionable with a left heel contusion as well. What are your notes on the James family?
Yeah, don't care about Bronny. He's not in the rotation. He's a great guy. But let's talk LeBron first. Left foot soreness. He hasn't been listed with left foot soreness as far as I could tell since 2 seasons ago. He did have a lot of left ankle soreness last year, and he had right foot soreness last year. So a little unclear. We know that the Lakers in previous years they would just list him questionable. We didn't hear anything post game about him being injured. So this might be just a wear and tear kind of a thing. It is not a back-to-back there. So I think he's in as the headline there. Anthony Davis continuing to get listed with that plantar fascia issue, which, I mean, he's got to be hurt, right? There's no way. He's been so bad around the basket. His defense has gotten a lot worse. The Lakers are now dead last in rim efficiency. He hasn't been defending nearly at the level he was earlier this year. Is he hurt? I mean, because he just doesn't look like himself. Credit to Bam. Credit to Gobert a couple games ago. But back-to-back games, he's set season lows in scoring, just 3 of 14. Again, no rim presence. I forget my matchup stat. He's 12% on wide open jumpers in his last 9 games. He can't make anything. I don't know. I've got concerns about his health. And December 15th can't get soon enough. This team desperately needs to make a trade. Christian Koloko can't play NBA minutes anymore. Jackson Hayes is hurt. Jared Vanderbilt's timeline gets pushed back every week now. They don't have any centers. They have nobody they trust. We saw Koloko get cut out. They ran a little bit smaller. I expect them both to play, but how well can they play? Matchup's not that great. We're so used to the Hawks being a bad defense. The Hawks are cooking defensively. Their rim defense has been awesome. Despite all their pace, they're still 7th in rim defense on the year. Capella's been really, really good. So not a great matchup for him anyways. But yeah, we'll see. LeBron probably going to be game time. But as far as I can tell, this is just a maintenance thing. And then also the note I said last time, JJ Redick basically said it wasn't in the best interest of the team for LeBron to play all 82. So this Q tag combined with that quote from 2 pressers ago is interesting for sure. And then if you missed the presser, I'm sure people who follow the NBA saw snippets of it. I mean, Redick went off. He said it was an embarrassment. He said guys had to take ownership. He said that they're splintering. He said that they're not together in the huddle. I mean, this is just real bad. I mean, considering the Lakers are 12-10, this had to be the worst loss of the season for really anybody to get blown out like that. So, I mean, Tyler Hero hit 7 threes, missing coverages. JJ Redick called him out saying, I can't be on the court calling out coverages. And he's saying, I'm not blaming the players. And then he goes on to, blame the players, which I always love that. So, yeah, there could be something going on. Dalton Connect had a real quick hook in the third quarter for a missed defensive assignment. He's kind of on watch here. He might lose his starting job, honestly. Who would you put in? I don't know. Max Christie, you're going to need him, I think, for defense. I wouldn't be surprised if Max Christie starts over Dalton Connect or even over Rui, just to give you somebody. But, the Dalton thing's not gone well. Their stats in that unit have really, really fallen apart, which that's going to happen when you get smoked like this. But, I would keep an eye out for possible changes in the lineup with the Lakers today.
All right, Atlanta side of things, Trae Young listed probable once again with that right Achilles tendonitis. They've got their G Leaguers listed questionable here today. Keaton Wallace, Seth Lundy, Mohamed Gee, and Dominic Barlow. What are your notes on the Hawks?
Yeah, hottest team in the NBA, and yet they're the only team that has lost to the Washington Wizards this year. My favorite stat: they've lost to the Wizards twice, which is truly remarkable. But yeah, they're great. I mean, they've got all their health. DeAndre Hunter's been fantastic. Expect his minutes to be quite strong off the bench. He'll guard LeBron for the majority of his minutes, if assuming LeBron can go. And yeah, Capella's been really, really good. Still waiting for Trae Young to click. One of the most inefficient on-ball pick-and-roll handlers in the NBA this year. Passing it a ton has been great. Dyson's been very good. Jalen Johnson just absolutely smashing. He's still fourth in the NBA in total touches this year, per game, that is. So yeah, he's been awesome. So yeah, Lakers are struggling, as I mentioned. Hawks in a pretty good spot to kind of keep it rolling after some, really nice wins. Beating the Cavs, beating the Bucks, who were red hot as well. So yeah, the Hawks are playing extremely well right now.
All right, let's move to Milwaukee and Boston. Milwaukee side of things, Giannis Antetokounmpo, probable right patella tendinopathy. Chris Middleton, probable bilateral ankle surgery recovery. Taurean Prince listed questionable with non-COVID illness, and Marjon Beauchamp questionable with the neck spasms. What are your expectations for the return of Chris Middleton?
Yeah, so I'm unclear on if he starts or not. We saw him start all the games last year despite some crazy minutes limits. I talked about this all the time when they would literally call timeouts to just get him out of the court to make sure he didn't go over his minutes limit. So he's going to have a pretty strict limit. We saw him hang around in the teens, play 16, 17 last year, and this was different. Last year he was coming off wrist surgery. This year he's coming off ankle surgery on both of his ankles. One was kind of a wear and tear. One that was kind of a more significant injury there. So yeah, expecting a pretty harsh limit. I almost think that he comes off the bench. But I don't know. Just based on them doing it last year, maybe it was a little bit different because AJ Griffin was kind of calling the shots differently. I feel like Doc is more likely to bring him off the bench. Obviously, Doc had the later half of the Middleton management, and he was still starting him. So, I lean start, but I'm not as confident there. If he does start, that should bump Andre Jackson out of the starting lineup, unless Taurean Prince, who was initially listed as probable with a knee injury, is now listed as questionable, late illness tag. Never good when that happens. So Taurean Prince, doubtful-ish to play, and that may bump Andre Jackson over there to get Middleton in, or it could bump them both out and start Gary Trent, and if they want to keep Middleton off the bench, because as I'm kind of saying here, it took a good month to get Middleton to upper 20s. This is going to be a real long ramp up. He's starting to go through 5-on-5 for a couple weeks now. There was a quote back in the preseason, Doc Rivers, my favorite. If this was a postseason game, he would have played. That was a month and a half ago. So we're going to have a pretty harsh limit on Middleton for a very long time. I would say at least a month before he's playing upper 20s, if at all. I mean, they might not even play him that much anymore. So yeah. And then also Giannis gets listed with his P tag. It's his birthday today, so he gets a nice shiny Chris Middleton for his birthday present and a Boston team. It's fun. It's an exciting game. He's had a 43-point game against the Celtics and then a 30-point. He's actually really bad against Boston last year.
Yeah, one of the things that I note on Middleton is if you're going to play these super limited minutes, which is my guess that will be on a slow ramp, he'll probably be pretty shot happy in those minutes to try to get his rhythm and his flow. And it's just easier to do that off the bench, with this bench, just other than Bobby Portis, doesn't have a lot of shot takers. So they'll stagger Giannis and Dame and get one of those guys in there, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him off the bench just to try to get him his shots and flow and rhythm, and especially against the Celtics. That's a tough spot to go right back into, the playing the best team in the NBA right off the bat. I think playing against the reserves might be a little bit of a softer landing spot. On the Boston side, Kristaps Porzingis listed out, injury management tag. Jason Tatum available with the right patella tendinopathy, and Al Horford available with the left big toe sprain. So what are your expectations for the Celtics tonight in the absence of Kristaps Porzingis?
Yeah, very kind of them to give us the answers to the test here. We knew that someone was going to miss. Should note though, we saw them rest both the guys in previous instances. Joe Mazzulla said that they were they kind of want to mix it up and depending on the matchups. So I thought there was a chance, given the fact that they play the Bucks today, and I think they play the Grizzlies tomorrow.
They play the Grizzlies tomorrow. They're in a 5-7 game stretch. Is the other thing that's happening. One of the reasons you're seeing Celtics miss a game here and there is because of this heavy stretch. The 5-7 days, they're trying to manage themselves through it, which they're able to do because they're such a great team.
Yep. So we know we'll get Horford in the starting lineup. They'll probably do that flip-flop. They like to put Horford on Giannis and then have Tatum guard Brook. I would expect to see a lot of that today. And then, Drew Holiday, not listed on the injury report, was playing a pretty good bit before he got ruled out for the knee issue. So he's a tough one to predict. He might go back to normal. This may be like, hey, well, let's get you time off. We can handle the Pistons, all that stuff. So he could be back to like mid-30s, or as we've been saying, they've been watching his minutes since the preseason to play Peyton Pritchard more. So really tough projection on Drew Holiday there. But yeah, he'll start. So we know the starting lineup. Should mention Tatum also missed the last game. He was listed with this knee thing a couple games ago, but it wasn't an injury management tag. He was like legit banged up and played through it. So he'll be good to go, expecting full minutes. So starting lineup of the Jays, Derek White, Drew, Horford. And then the next question is, what does the bench look like besides Peyton Pritchard, who will play a ton, who has been playing great? Random stat, among guys with his volume for driving, he's first by a ton in field goal percentage. 77% on drives is unbelievably good. Again, that's like counting anybody, guards, forwards, centers, you name it. He's been unbelievably on drives. So yeah, he'll be in there. And then the next question is like, how does Luke Cornett and Neemias Queta and Xavier Tillman, who they like to use on Giannis sometimes, how does that fit? I don't know. Cornett's been kind of icing Neemias Queta at times, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did flip it. I think Cornett's got the inside track, but it's kind of a hedge fest. So, our projections are hedged. So if you see, lighter projections on those guys, just realize that Queta could go away or the Tillman minutes could go away, because I think they want to kind of get this game against the Bucks.
Yep. Let's go to Indiana and Chicago. Indiana gets Andrew Nembhard back on the questionable tag now with after missing last game due to the back-to-back set. They're still without Aaron Nesmith, Ben Shepherd, James Weissman, and Isaiah Jackson. Assuming this questionable tag is one that Nembhard will be able to play through. But what are your notes here on Indiana?
Yeah, as you noted, missed the back-to-back, which we knew that was coming. We had him out in projections all day on Wednesday. And then Tuesday for the second straight game, they played him in the first half, didn't play him in the second half. But what was a little bit different and what's kind of changed now is Johnny Furphy. Johnny Furphy goes out there. Quentin Jackson started the last game. That was with Nembhard out, obviously. Nembhard's going to start if he's in, of course. But they started Johnny Furphy, who was like a 4 at Kansas, and they started him at the 2. And he was great, hit 4 threes. I think he's earned a rotation spot. Rick Carlisle said that, like every coach does, they viewed him as a top 14 lottery pick. Of course, we love those quotes. My favorite one is always when JaVale McGee got drafted. They said that he was top 3 on their board, and I think they got him like 18. I always love that. You get your number 3 player at like pick 45. But anyways, I digress. So, yeah, I think Furphy's in. So I think that's going to push out Enrique Freeman, Moses Brown, all those guys. It could squeeze a little bit on TJ McConnell. I think Quentin Jackson, it's been a fun ride, had that great game against Houston. I think he kind of goes away as Johnny Furphy. He just has more pedigree. And again, he's a lottery pick according to them. So you'd think Furphy's in there. Besides that, one other note, Halliburton, is he back? Because he's been really good. The touches have been up. He has 104 touches per game over his last 3. That's a huge number. He was hanging like mid 70s for a bit. So he's back. His touches are there. He's scoring more. I love this matchup, which I put him as like cover boy. So this is going to go well whenever we plant Halliburton on the DFS show. It goes spectacularly bad. But so expecting pretty strong game here. They're playing terribly. They're bottom 10. In offense, and I think they're like bottom 6 or 7 in defense. They're playing really poorly right now.
Yep. Would also note that the big question mark for me is this game, second night of a back-to-back, they went to a 9-man rotation. I had kind of articulated before, like 9 and almost 10, basically, depending on what you think of Quentin Jackson. But I had articulated before, like on back-to-backs, we see Carlisle extend the rotation lots of times. This is not uncommon. Now, this is not a back-to-back, right? They play again on Sunday, and they have the ability to cut it back down and play concise again, especially if they're extending Nembhard into the second half at all, which we don't know if they will. But so far, they've just played him for the first half. And so that's my question mark. Do you think we're playing 9, or do you think they're playing like the 8.5 that we've seen before? Like, is Furphy a full member of the rotation, or is he a partial member of the rotation that is only playing when Nembhard is not playing in the second half type thing? Because that's the big difference in projecting this team, is projecting 8.5 versus 9 ends up pushing the ceiling up on a lot of these guys in terms of minutes projection, as opposed to if you get to the 8.5, then like you just don't have minutes to go around. So what are your thoughts in terms of whether we're seeing like a full rotation for Johnny Furphy, or we're seeing kind of this half rotation situation like Quentin Jackson? And do you think Nembhard starts easing into the third quarter in the second half of these games?
Yeah, I think Nembhard's going to play in the second half today. Not confident. I'm not really going on anything there. But, to get that to happen to him twice, and don't forget, this is something that, going back to last month, they didn't know he was hurt. And then Rick Carlisle finds out during the national anthem that he has knee tendonitis. I think they play him into the second half here, but not too confident. Definitely having a minutes limit. I think we landed at 23 minutes. So we're kind of balancing it. Probably like you would call it a blend of 66% chance he's going to play in the second half, but he might not. Not confident there. And then to the Furphy, I think Furphy's going to play. So I don't think that's going to really affect Howie or Siakam much. Maybe Siakam a little bit, but it could take a little bit off Ben Mathurin. Obviously, Jarris Walker would be affected significantly. Obi maybe to squeeze him in there, but he's done enough. I mean, the quotes were really good. And Carlisle said they're trying to play him.
All right, Chicago side of things, they're on the second night of a back-to-back here. They have not filed their injury report as of this recording. What are you expecting to potentially see on that injury report? Yesterday, we were without Kobe White. Josh Giddey played through a questionable tag. Lonzo Ball was out due to injury management, so would expect him potentially back tonight. What are your expectations on what we see from the Bulls?
Yeah, Kobe was called a not severe injury. Was surprised to see him get the O tag yesterday. So we have him in projections, expecting him to return for now. We'll see. We might get that news in 8 minutes, and we can come back to it. Sadly, going to be over a half an hour show, it looks like. We'll see. Like I said, I think he's going to be back, probably getting a Q tag, but not certain there. Other than that, really nice win. Got to shout out Vooch. Goes for 39 points, and just to kind of highlight some stats on him. The last game he had 72 front court touches. That's like, 12 more than Jokic gets. They just fed this dude, and you take Wemby away, and that was the strategy. So really, really nice game from Vooch. Zach LaVine picked up a pretty big defensive assignment yesterday. If Kobe's out again, Julian Phillips probably starting, but got to shout out Matas Buzelis, who played great again. After the game, Billy Donovan said he's earned more minutes. Wouldn't be totally shocked if Buzelis started. Obviously, that would mean Kobe White didn't play. And then Ayo Dosunmu, a triple freaking double. Shout out to Jeremy King, who shipped it last night on the back of Ayo Dosunmu having a huge game from him. But yeah, we talked about this game being awesome, and it's a good one again. The Pacers suck on defense. The Pacers aren't playing as fast. And actually, one other random note too, going back, the Lakers are playing really slow. I wanted to kind of highlight that. Their offensive paces dropped from like 4th to like 18th. For seconds per possession. Just forgot that stat I wanted to share. But so expecting Kobe in. We'll hopefully get that news in 7 minutes.
Yeah, Vooch this year, 69% true shooting percentage. He's a career 55% true shooting guy. So this is just outrageous for an age 34 season to see this level of efficiency from him. Please, gods, let someone trade for Vucevic, because he is single-handedly destroying this Bulls franchise. They trade for him, go in a straight like downward spiral from them, and then when they need to potentially get rid of him, he plays so well, and nobody else believes it, so they're not going to trade anything for him. He plays so well that they're going to lose their pick that is top 10 predicted with the Spurs this year. Spurs, I see you sitting out Wembanyama against the Bulls to make sure the Bulls get a win to help get your pick. I'm tilting. All right, let's move to the Sacramento Kings and San Antonio Spurs. We can start with the Spurs side of it since you've got them up on the notes here. Have not seen a filing from them either at this point. They were without Wembanyama last night. It seems like Devin Vassell very unlikely to play on a back-to-back here. What are your notes on the Spurs?
Yeah, Vassell almost certainly out. Mitch Johnson all but ruled him out last night. Vassell basically said too. So he's going to sit. He's been managing that toe surgery, and then they've been listing him with the knee thing that he had surgery on 2 years ago. So quite confident Devin Vassell is not going to play. And then the interesting thing last night that we touched on a little bit, which we touched on it more to make us sound even better, that they could have went small, and they did. After the game, Mitch Johnson said that they just wanted to see what that looked like. Jeremy Sohan, double-double. The guy just crushes on the boards. He's so much energy. 36 minutes. He was on the Aaron Gordon plan, right? We talked about this where Aaron Gordon plays one game limit and then boom, you're back to normal. So I think Sohan's going to be in there coming off the broken thumb. So he should be back to, I wouldn't say full. Maybe they keep him down a little bit, which begs the question, if Wemby's back, and should note the Wemby back injury wasn't serious. It got really downplayed after the game. I think, as you mentioned, it was like a back-to-back half management. Maybe you could play the Tankathon card as well. So think Wemby's back. Oh, Wemby's doubtful. Literally just came out right now. Okay, so yeah, this wasn't. Let me get the full report.
They saw my accusation and they're afraid of fines, and they're sitting Wemby because of this show. They're afraid. They're afraid of the NBA coming after them because I've pointed this out. And so Wembanyama is sitting. He's not hurt. He's just sitting another game so they avoid fines and suspensions. Get your conspiracy theories here on Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show.
Yeah, for sure. So that clears some things up here. That should mean, I think they would start Sohan again. I would think they would start the same lineup. We weren't really sure.
I don't know. Against Sabonis, I don't know about that one. I think they got to get a bigger body in there against Sabonis. Yeah. It did not go well starting Sohan against Vooch last night.
Who's coming out then?
Yeah, I think it's either Harry B or Champagny probably.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. I think Sohan's staying. Yeah. I think Sohan's staying in the lineup for sure.
Yep.
For sure. I just think you got to get a bigger body out there on Sabonis than feeding Sohan to the Wolves 2 games in a row. Yeah. But we'll see.
Yep. What else? Yeah, I think Champagny's in there. If I had to rank who gets pulled out, if they do start big, and I kind of lean they start small, for what it's worth. But so I would say Harry B most likely, then Castle, then Champagny. They like Champagny for spacing, and I think Vassell will definitely cut him down eventually, hopefully, as the committee may have to reconvene with Vassell still being hurt here. But what do you think about the hierarchy of like pulling?
I think Barnes or Champagny I think are most likely right now, and then I think Castle is least likely. I think Castle is the long-term Vassell replacement there. So I'm in agreement with you. I don't have a strong take between Barnes or Champagny. I think they're both floor spacers. Champagny's been a better version of a floor spacer. Harrison Barnes, it's a revenge game for Harrison Barnes up against Sacramento. Maybe he gets deferential treatment for that in this one, but I think it's between those two guys if they do make the move. Maybe they start small. I would also say that just generally, like the idea of Sohan being out a while, jumping him from like a minutes limit that's like 22 or whatever to 36, and then playing him on a back-to-back both games against giant human beings, that just sounds dumb. So I don't. That's why I'm thinking like it's like, hey, Sohan, go deal with DeMar, or you don't have to deal with Sabonis. Like go deal with somebody else. I think that's where we're headed, but we'll see.
Yeah, they like him for on ball too, so that's that would be a bold task.
Yeah. Sacramento side of things, they also have not filed yet. Any notes or expectations on what we could see from Sacramento? They lost a tough one to Memphis. Memphis just keeps rolling on. What are your notes on the Kings tonight?
Yeah, except for that fourth quarter against Dallas. But yeah, I don't have much to say. The note here is, man, Keon is in trouble. We saw him DNP CD a couple games ago, just 2 minutes. And their explanation is they need second unit offense, and they trust Kevin Huerter with that role right now. Mike Brown talked about how they just, putting Monk in the first unit has really, really cut down how they can get punch off the second unit there. So, yeah, I think this is mostly staying the same. We've seen Isaac Jones consistently get minutes behind Sabonis. Jay Crowder's playing a pretty good bit. I expect Kevin Huerter to play. We'll see what this injury report looks like in possibly 20 seconds. But, yeah, I think Brown, he said that he's going to start Monk going forward. That might not stick for long. They got to start winning a game or two here. I could see them revisiting that if they start losing some games.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. The problem is obviously like Mike Brown just hasn't developed confidence in anybody else there, and the options are got to be Huerter or Keon Ellis, and like he's just been really down on both those players this year. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess he could go back to like Jay Crowder, but like that seems outrageous. So yeah.
We got some news. The Kings are clean. The Bulls have Lonzo questionable, Matas Buzelis, who got hit in the face. He has a questionable tag. Zach LaVine probable with back tightness, and then Kobe White did get that Q tag for the left ankle sprain. I think that's it on the stuff we didn't hit yet.
All right, Let's go to Minnesota and Golden State. Minnesota without Rob Dillingham and Joe Ingles still. What are your notes on the Timberwolves coming off of their best performance of the season in a blowout win against the Clippers?
2 in a row. They owned the LA teams there. Don't have too much to say. The only note here, besides their unbelievable defense lately that has been locked and loaded, that rim defense has been really, really good overall. But the only note here is Josh Minot was in the rotation in the first half, obviously got boosted for blowout. And then after the game, Finch said they're going to look at him. We've seen this quote with Dillingham, and Dillingham had the quickest grand opening, grand closing after we were like, oh my God, is he going to start soon, to like already out. He's obviously injured now. But a couple weeks ago, that's where we were with Dillingham. So yeah, pretty straightforward here. Kind of buying the Wolves. We always thought it was going to take time to gel, but they're playing great right now. So yeah, pretty much we know the eight starters, as they call them. But I do expect Minot to sneak in there for maybe a half rotation. Maybe he plays like one half and then that's it.
Okay, Golden State. They have not submitted second end of a back-to-back here. The quotes on Andrew Wiggins playing through the Q tag last night were pretty discouraging, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him miss this one. He played really, really great, beat us on an under, shot the ball great. 2 4-point plays. You don't see that very often for Andrew Wiggins. I'm not tilting, you're tilting. What are your thoughts on the Golden State Warriors injury report today?
Yeah, Steve Kerr said that Steph Curry was basically just rest. As I said yesterday, that this game's on ESPN today, so they sat him. You could play the don't play your Steph Curry card for the NBA Cup game next week if you want to talk about that. But expecting quite confidently Steph back. Draymond Green had an MRI that came back clean. His status was quote unquote TBD. It did sound like he has a pretty decent chance to play, having a clean MRI. I'm not as convinced here. I think they might take it easy on Draymond, considering how he talked about how this was related to something from the past. So I think they might still be careful and don't push it on him. So obviously, if he didn't start, and man, I said it, I bet the Rockets -1.5, and I said if I lose my money, it's because Jonathan Kuminga kills me.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happened. Jonathan Kuminga goes for a career high 33. He was fantastic. Steve Kerr called him a weapon, so they got to try to find him minutes. And every time they talk, they want to play him at the 4 so badly. So, I almost feel like this is a way to let Draymond rest up. This is a back-to-back. I don't know. Obviously didn't play yesterday, but I think they might just hold Draymond out until they feel really, really good about his health, to let Jonathan Kuminga really build up some confidence and really get it going. There. And should mention Pod's pretty strong bounce back game, 11 rebounds, was really aggressive, played 37 minutes. He was quite good. I thought he played better defense as well. And then, rotation was pretty tight. Kevon Looney, I'm pretty confident. I'd say 90% confident that Kevon Looney starts. Steve Kerr said after the game that he's a, quote, 25-minute per game player. And he said he would like to try to play him 27 minutes. He can't do that with Draymond back, especially if you want to play Kuminga as a 4. So, unless you're not playing Draymond, which is kind of my point too. It's just the messaging seems like Draymond could sit. I could be wrong, but yeah. So expecting Steph to basically pop back in the Buddy Hield spot. And then the starting lineup should be the same. Kuminga probably going back to the bench if Draymond is in fact in.
Yeah, and I mean the Kuminga at the 4 thing is where everybody I think thinks he needs to be, with the exception of Draymond Green, because Draymond Green doesn't really want to play the 5 full time, and so that's a battle that they have to figure out. I agree with you that as long as Draymond's out, it's really easy for them to do this. I also think as long as Steph is out, they need offense in the first unit. So do you think we see Steph back tonight?
Yep. Pretty sure. Steve Kerr basically said that this was just front end back-to-back rest because they are playing on ESPN today and they weren't on ESPN yesterday or TNT. Okay. No TNT games Thursdays yet or this weekend.
Utah and Portland. Last game of the slate to cover. On the Utah side, no Jordan Clarkson, no Kyle Filipowski or Taylor Hendricks, or Oscar Tshiebwe or Cody Williams. Colin Sexton still listed available. So basically no changes for what we've seen from Utah of late. Any notes here?
No, just The only note is the minutes have been getting up there. We've seen Laurie touch upper 30s. We've seen Collins hit like mid 30s. They're asking a lot of Keontae George, both on defense. I think Keontae's going to guard Anthony Simons a lot tonight. So like, hello, Anthony Simons. So yeah. And then lastly, Walker's your guy, right? Walker Kessler.
No, Austin has Walker.
Austin took him.
I'm pretty. I think so. Let me check. Maybe I don't even know.
While you're doing that, anyways, his last 3 games, he has 10.3.
Oh, Walker Kessler is my guy.
I thought
Walker Kessler is my guy. I thought Austin took him. Who did Austin?
You should get fined for that. You should get fined for that.
It'll go in the kitty. It'll go in the kitty. Not accepting my guy when it's my guy.
Yeah, I don't want Cody Williams to be my guy. But he is.
It was Jalen Suggs. It was Jalen Suggs that Austin took that I tilted, and then I was like, I can't wait on these guys anymore, so I took Walker Kessler. Yeah. And then Austin tilted that I took Walker Kessler. So my guy list is fire this year. Just fire. J-Dub, Jokic, Vassell, Ethics Committee, Walker Kessler, Keldon Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Peyton Pritchard, and the OG D'Anthony Melton. Rest in peace.
Yep. Sorry, D'Anthony. So like I was saying, 10.3 paint touches per game, feeding at the rim, 0 jumpers in his last 4 games. Almost all of his scoring has been as a cutter or on the O boards. The Blazers cannot rebound. I almost wanted to cover boy Walker Kessler today. I think he has a huge game against DeAndre Ayton, especially with the depth behind him with Robert Williams and Donovan Clingan out. But Jazz are tightening up. Blazers defense has been slipping a little bit. A lot of this is the as I noted in matchups. This is the classic Mike Gallagher bad basketball game of the night. I also saw one of the Blazers beats. Casey Holdahl said that this is the first time the Blazers are favored all year. Yeah,
this is a Mike Gallagher special for sure. Is it on an island? No, Minnesota Golden State's going up against it. I'm sorry, Mark. You have your hashtag Wolves versus the garbage basketball. Tough choice for you. All right, Portland. No Clingan, no Robert Williams, and Scoot Henderson questionable here with the left quad contusion that's forced him to miss a few games of late. What are your notes on the Blazers?
Yeah, still think Scoot's. I'm not as confident. I was really confident last game that Scoot was going to miss the last one. But, he had an MRI in his quad and it showed up in the MRI. That's usually a good sign that you need to miss another week or so. So I still kind of lean Scoot out. We have him in projections for now. And then, should be a closer game here. The spread's tight. Minutes have been really strong. We saw Anthony Simons play 41 minutes the last close game they had. Grant's minutes have been up there. DeAndre Ayton's playing a little bit more. Shaedon Sharpe, we've seen him play heavy minutes. So this is a really, really attractive game. Utah first in transition points allowed, first in catch and shoot points allowed. So the guard players could be really, really strong. Should note the Utah Jazz pick and roll defense has actually been pretty good, but I think Ant's just going to shoot over the top of that a bunch. So the starting lineup's locked in regardless. It's just a matter if Scoot plays. If Scoot doesn't play, then we'll see more Benton, more Denny Avdia. Ryan Repair would probably play a little bit, but and then like I said, I still kind of think Scoot does miss, which is great for Anthony Simons if he could play upper 30s against this mistake-prone, transition-prone defense. Should be a lot of fantasy goodness here.
All right, that will do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're interested in any of our premium content, you can find more information on our premium product offerings at establishedrun.com/subscribe-NBA. More details on our premium props package, which please read the FAQ if you're interested there. We're very proud of the work that we're putting out in the projections, and they follow through to the people who are using our projections to bet our props, along with the props that we are releasing as official bets as well. Feeling really good about the work that we're putting there. Went 9-1 last night, up to 67 units on the season. I checked where we were compared to last season. We were at 65 units at this point in the season. So we've been very consistent over the last 4 years. We're very proud of the work. It's very difficult to get these bets, which is why it's a premium product and it's only a weekly subscription because some people find that it's just not for them. So read the FAQ if you're interested. The DFS package also kicking along. Jeremy King, who is doing lineup reviews every Tuesday now in Discord as well, took home $50K last night, winning the Power Dunk. So shout out to him. We're proud of all the contributors. And I know Keith Mason, who's been doing a lot of work for us this year, has been crushing in the DFS streets as well. We're just really proud of the team that we have and the work that they're putting in to deliver the best projections in the industry. If you're only along for the free content, that's cool too. Best way to support us, first, subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can hit the bell and get notifications whenever we post new content like these shows or the podcast that we're doing once a week as well. The most recent episode of the podcast broke down the in-season Emirates NBA Cup in-season tournament quarterfinal games and the results of Tuesday night's action. So you can check that out on this page and channel. And you can also support the individual content on this channel by smashing that like button. You smash the like button, that helps feed the algorithm, which helps feed our families and allows us to feed you the NBA injury information and analysis you need each and every day to set your season-long lineups, your DFS lineups, and make your spread bets and your prop bets. So smash that like button, feed that algorithm. Nom, 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 nom. We'll see you guys on Monday. Take care.